He was enjoying a party with family and friends when suddenly a gang barged in, firing wildly at the crowd. In an instant, many lives were lost, including those of his beloved family. The movie opens with three men hunting together in a dense forest. As they pursue their prey, Dale chooses to break away from the group. Just as he spots the target and takes aim, a bald man suddenly emerges from the shadows, shoves Dale into a deep ravine, and kills him. The mysterious attacker is revealed to be Ryan Verrett, a former police officer consumed by vengeance after the brutal murder of his family years earlier. Dale was one of the men responsible for the murders, and after taking him out, Ryan set off for a small town called Hope. The town was under the grip of a ruthless motorcycle gang, so feared that even the local sheriff dared not challenge them. But Ryan, fully aware of the danger, was undeterred. He had a clear purpose. On his way into town, he stopped at a gas station to grab some supplies and ask about a place to stay. The innkeeper, Kirby, informed Ryan about the town's only motel, run by a young woman named Darcy. With most people avoiding Hope due to its notorious reputation, Darcy's motel rarely saw any guests. So when she met Ryan, she was clearly surprised by his boldness in showing up in such a dangerous place. But Ryan remained composed, simply stating that he had business to take care of. Meanwhile, FBI agent Frank was working with his team to track down Dale, a known murderer and dangerous rapist. As they spoke, another agent entered the room with breaking news: Dale had been found dead. The story then shifted into a flashback from Ryan's past, back to when he was still a police officer. In that haunting memory, Ryan was at a party surrounded by family and friends when a gang of criminals suddenly stormed in, unleashing a hail of bullets on the unsuspecting crowd. The gunfire tore through the celebration, claiming the lives of many, among them Ryan's beloved family. The brutal attack had been orchestrated by Drake Santiago, the ruthless leader of the gang, driven by hatred toward the police officers who had once put him behind bars. Consumed by vengeance, Drake set out to destroy those officers and their families. Ryan, one of his intended victims, miraculously survived the ambush despite taking a bullet. Back in the present, as Ryan drove through town, his attention was caught by a group of motorcycles parked outside a building, an ominous sign that his path was about to cross with trouble once again. One of the bikers stormed out of the building, visibly agitated by a nearby dog that wouldn't stop barking at him. Enraged, he pulled out his gun, ready to silence the animal. But before he could pull the trigger, Ryan stepped in swift, calm, and unforgiving. In seconds, he disarmed the man and delivered a brutal beating, sending a clear message. The commotion quickly drew the attention of the other gang members inside. They rushed out to see what was happening, including their leader, Drake Santiago. But Drake didn't recognize Ryan, a detail that wasn't surprising, considering the countless lives he had taken over the years. Although Ryan had just taken down one of his men, Drake chose to overlook the incident for now, as he had more urgent issues to deal with. Still, Ryan's unexpected presence didn't sit right with him. Suspicious, Drake quietly instructed his younger brother Rexo to tail the mysterious bald man. The next morning, Rexo reported back with troubling news. A local club owner had refused to pay their usual protection fees. Furious, Drake decided to settle the matter personally. He challenged the club owner to a one-round boxing match, vowing that if the man won, he'd never have to pay protection money again. Despite his age, Drake remained incredibly strong and easily overpowered his opponent, a burly man in the boxing match. But rather than delivering a prolonged beating, he chose to spare him, knowing full well that dead men don't pay debts. Drake understood the value of fear over finality. His gang's wealth didn't come solely from protection fees. They had their hands in various criminal ventures, including running meth labs throughout the area. Still, amid all the chaos of his growing empire, Drake never let his guard down, especially when it came to keeping an eye on Ryan. That evening, Rexo showed up at Darcy's motel, demanding to know if a bald man named Ryan was staying there. Darcy stood her ground and refused to answer, which only fueled Rexo's anger. He began threatening her, vowing to make her life a living hell if she didn't give up Ryan's location. Hearing the threats from inside, Ryan decided it was time to step in, and he didn't hold back. With swift and decisive force, he took Rexo down. Shaken by the confrontation, Darcy urgently warned Ryan that Rexo wasn't just any thug, he was the younger brother of Drake, the ruthless leader of the motorcycle gang that ruled the entire town. If Drake ever found out that his brother had been harmed, revenge would surely follow, but Ryan wasn't concerned. He dragged Rexo to the gang's drug lab, tied him to a car, and sent it speeding into the heart of the facility. The impact triggered a massive explosion, obliterating the lab and engulfing Rexo in the flames. Ryan walked away, a grim sense of satisfaction settling in as his plan came to fruition. Moments later, Drake and his gang arrived at the scene, frantically rushing to the wreckage in a panic. All they could do was watch helplessly as the lab was engulfed in flames. When they found Rexo's lifeless body, Drake was consumed by fury, realizing that his brother was gone. Moments after the explosion, the sheriff and his deputy arrived to investigate. Seeing Drake's gang still at the scene, the sheriff braced himself. Drake, fueled by rage, didn't hesitate to approach him, delivering a chilling threat. He warned the sheriff that if he dared interfere with the gang's operations, he would kill the sheriff's entire family without hesitation. The sheriff, too terrified to speak out, remained silent. In his mind, a plan began to take shape. If he allowed the gang to operate unchecked, he hoped it might prevent even more violent chaos from engulfing the town. The following day, Ryan decided to take action against one of the gang's trucks, which was transporting meth to another city. He trailed the vehicle discreetly, then silently deflated one of its tires, forcing the driver to pull over and step out. The moment the driver exited the truck, Ryan struck swiftly, slamming his head against the vehicle's door. Without a second thought, he then detonated the truck, watching it explode into flames. A gang member witnessed the explosion and quickly reported it to Drake. When he learned that the truck had been carrying a large shipment of meth, Drake's anger flared. He realized he had just lost a significant amount of money. Fueled by the need for revenge, he became determined to track down the person responsible and quickly began suspecting Ryan. To uncover the truth, Drake ordered his men to bring Kirby to the gang's base. There, he demanded that Kirby assist him in investigating Ryan and uncovering his true identity. If Ryan was behind the explosion, Drake wouldn't hesitate to end his life. Fearful and with no other option, Kirby reluctantly obeyed Drake's orders. That very day, he began his investigation into Ryan. He started by checking Ryan's car, which was parked near the motel, hoping to uncover any clues about his past. As Kirby searched the vehicle, Ryan unexpectedly appeared at the motel and caught him in the act. Nervously, Kirby quickly invited Ryan to his house for a drink, which was just a short distance away from the motel. Ryan was no fool and wasn't easily tricked. As soon as they arrived at Kirby's house, he confronted him, asking why he had been searching through his car. Under the pressure, Kirby confessed that Drake had ordered him to investigate Ryan. Before the conversation could continue, the sound of a motorcycle pulling up outside interrupted them. It was Crab, one of Drake's henchmen, who stepped forward and challenged Ryan. The fight was swift, and despite Crab's strength, Ryan easily overpowered him. However, instead of finishing him off, Ryan chose to spare him and let Crab go. Meanwhile, Drake was deepening his investigation and had a conversation with the police chief. During their exchange, he uncovered a crucial piece of information. Ryan was no ordinary man, but a former police officer who had left the force after his family was brutally murdered. Grateful for the valuable insight, Drake thanked the police chief and slipped him some money. That night, while Kirby slept, Drake and his henchmen made their way to his house, preparing to take further action. When Drake learned that Kirby had failed to uncover any useful information about Ryan, he was furious. As punishment, he ordered Crab, one of his henchmen, to take care of Kirby. The next morning, Ryan discovered Kirby's lifeless body. Upon realizing that Drake's gang was responsible, Ryan decided to take swift action. Without hesitation, he headed to one of Drake's clubs, where he quickly overpowered every gang member in his path. Ryan kidnapped Crab, forcefully shoved him into the trunk of his car, and coldly ended his life. Crab's lifeless body was discarded in front of the gang's headquarters as a chilling warning. When Drake learned of the brutal death of his trusted henchman, his fury knew no bounds. He immediately ordered all his remaining men to gather, arm themselves, and prepare for a relentless pursuit of Ryan. That night, at the inn, Darcy was startled by strange noises coming from outside. She swiftly rose from her chair, grabbing her handgun, ready to face any threat. However, Ryan quickly realized it was his adversary and urgently told Darcy to take cover behind the front desk to stay out of harm's way. A few minutes later, the front door creaked open and Drake's men stepped inside. Ryan waited calmly, biding his time until they were within range. Once they were close enough, he signaled to Darcy to turn off the lights. In an instant, the room was swallowed by darkness, and the deafening sound of gunfire shattered the silence. When Darcy switched the lights back on, she was stunned by the sight before her. Every one of the gang members was lying lifeless on the floor. Ryan, unscathed, quickly assessed the situation and realized they could no longer stay there. Without wasting a moment, he grabbed Darcy and led her to find a safer place to hide. Ryan, unaware that his enemies were lying in wait outside, was blindsided when they suddenly stormed in. They attacked him viciously, beating him until he lost consciousness. When he finally came to, he found himself bound and dragged to the gang's headquarters with Darcy by his side. His arms were tightly strapped to a chair, rendering him completely immobile. Standing before him, Drake coldly declared that both he and Darcy would die, but not before he tortured Darcy first. Drake commanded one of his henchmen to torture Ryan while he retreated into the next room. The hulking man tasked with inflicting pain began to savagely beat Ryan. However, in a surprising turn of events, Ryan managed to free his hands from the ropes and began to fight back. With swift precision, he overpowered the larger man, knocking him to the ground. Wasting no time, Ryan made his way through the ship, now serving as the gang's headquarters, determined to escape. Ryan confronted Drake's henchmen, who attempted to fight back, but he effortlessly defeated them all. Afterward, he found Darcy bound and gagged with tape. Without hesitation, Ryan quickly freed her, and together they searched for a way to escape the ship. But Drake had no intention of letting them slip away so easily. Realizing the time had come for a final confrontation, Ryan told Darcy to leave and prepared to face his enemy alone. Before the battle began, Drake coldly reminded Ryan that he remembered him, the cop whose family he had killed. He had believed Ryan was dead after that horrific incident. The two clashed in a brutal one-on-one fight. While Drake possessed strength, Ryan's skill proved superior, and he eventually brought Drake to the ground. Believing the fight was over, Ryan stood victorious. But despite the beating, Drake managed to retreat, grab a knife, and attempt a sneaky attack from behind. Just as Drake was about to strike, FBI agent Frank appeared and shot him dead, saving Ryan in the nick of time. The FBI saw this as their opportunity to finally put an end to the reign of terror Drake's gang had brought to the town. Frank, understanding the value of someone like Ryan, chose not to arrest him. Instead, he let him go, believing the police still needed people like him. Ryan left the town, promising Frank that their paths would cross again someday. The film ends with a final shot of Ryan, storming a location and opening fire on a group of people. These individuals are the remaining henchmen of Drake, the ones responsible for the brutal murder of Ryan's family. Now, Ryan has returned, driven by a thirst for revenge and determined to eliminate those who shattered his life. The lesson from this story is clear. If you're planning to take down an entire gang, make sure you're a former cop with a personal vendetta and a knack for turning explosions into your trademark.